the Impostor Syndrome Files. I am so grateful that you're here, and I really hope that you've been enjoying the conversations that you've been listening to, and hopefully finding some tips, some next steps that you can take if you struggle with similar feelings of self-doubt, which obviously, as you're hearing, are fairly universal. This is something that we all go through from time to time. When I started this podcast, my goal was really to try to normalize the experience, to let everybody know that you are not alone, that there's a name for what you're feeling, and that there are steps that we can be taking to manage it more effectively. What I have found over the course of these conversations has been fascinating. I have had an absolutely powerful and different conversation with every single person who I have interviewed. I worried at one point that there may not be enough to talk about. How much is there to say about imposter syndrome? Are the stories going to start to get repetitive? That has absolutely not been the case. Everyone brings a fascinating new perspective to this conversation. I have learned something from every discussion that we've had. I hope you have too. I want to make a note that many of these recordings are being done during the social distancing that's happening with coronavirus. I am doing my best to protect the sound quality, but we are all in homes that have pets, kids, all kinds of background noise going on. For me, it's much more important to share with you a very natural conversation between two people than it is to share a perfectly polished recording. So I hope that you will bear with us if there are moments where the sound is not perfect. Really, my goal is to share stories, not to provide perfectly scripted, perfectly polished audio. So apologies for any imperfections that may be coming through in the recordings, but I'm hoping that you're getting the essence of the message regardless. So thank you again for being here. I wish you all the best and hope that you will consider sharing your own story one day. Thanks again. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today. And I just want to remind our listeners that I always make available the option to remain anonymous if you prefer not to share your name. So that being said, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, whatever you're feeling comfortable sharing?
Sure. Well, hi. Thank you, Kim, so much for having me on here today as well. This is new for me and it's just something different. And I thought maybe I could help somebody. So we'll see. So basically, I'm a woman in technology. Currently, I am a manager in a technical consultant firm, so software development. And but I recently, I wear many hats. So I'll say, I always like to joke and say I wear 17 hats or 900 hats. It completely depends on the day. But I do account management. I do service delivery management, resource manager, whatever that's my newer history, I guess you'd say, in technology. But I had a really exciting thing happen where I actually applied for an internal role and I just got it this week.
Oh, congratulations.
So thank you. I'm super excited. So I was that'll lead into a conversation, I'm sure, later on about the imposter syndrome. But basically, I will be a technical project manager of a knowledge management group, which does business intelligence, analytics, artificial intelligence, all types of different things that I'm really excited and interested in. But I'm also a mother. I am a wife. I am a cat owner of 2 cats. And that's I guess a little bit about me.
That's great. You sound just like me. I am a mother, a wife, and owner of 2 cats as well.
Oh, okay. Nice.
How old are your kids?
Well, I have one son and he's 9, but he's going to turn 10 in May. And we're going through the new challenges of online learning. So that's different, especially working full time from home with my husband in the same house. You can hear my sarcasm. very challenging, but at the same time, I don't know. It's not all that bad at the same time. So,
So
yeah.
listeners who are listening right now at whatever point in history they may be listening will be able to tell that we are recording during the time of coronavirus, right? Where we are all figuring out how to navigate this working from home, homeschooling, everything at the same time.
Oh gosh, yes. Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what imposter syndrome means to you. How has it shown up in your life or your career?
Wow. Well, imposter syndrome has, I think, shown up throughout my entire life. I mean, I guess I'll start saying that it really, I think it started off as a child. I never felt, I never felt good enough, and I never felt that I was as smart as other people, or I could go as far as other people. It's really weighed heavily in the history of my career. I always, even though throughout my career, I was able to always increase into a promotion and get higher roles literally throughout my entire history. I've done like a timeline once to see a couple times to see like, okay, so where was I with salary? Where was I with my position? And what did I grow into? And every single role has led me to something better. And because I had to take a chance to put myself out on a limb and just risk it and say, okay, let's just see where this goes. And but whenever, I got into higher level, it's always been there, but I can definitely say for more recent into higher level roles, I felt that feeling literally where I would have meltdowns in my office and I would just be like, they're going to figure me out. They're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out that I don't know anything and that I'm a fraud. It's just not true. That was just my inner fear talking, but they're just going to figure out who I truly am, and they're going to get rid of me. And it's really affected me negatively because I feel that I could have been so much more successful and assertive rather than people pleasing. But there's a positive side to that, and that is that, and I'm sure we can go to it at any time, that and rein me in if you need to, because I'm a rambler and I will go all over the place. Okay.
Great.
I would go all over the place. Because so many things pop up in my head. Like my head it's always thinking, just always going. And, in the last, I'd say year or so, I had some significant events happen in my life that, I feel like I've always had significant events happen in my life. And then I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, how am I going to get through this one? But I kind of had that wake up moment where I had this new fire in my belly. That's the only way I can explain it. And it was this feeling of, I am not going to be this way anymore. And I deserve better. And I'm going to do something different. And since that, my imposter syndrome has not been there. Literally, I have been just being assertive and taking on new challenges, asking for help. That's a big part of my story, is learning how to ask for help. And when I say that, it could be a personal situation or it could be somewhere in the work environment, whether it's mentorship or asking for direction. But I have a feeling that with this new position that literally I'm starting like Monday in my company remotely while I'm doing my existing position because they can't really fill that right now. I feel that the imposter syndrome, possibly ugly heads are going to pop up. Like to me, I imagine it was like two ugly heads just popping up and they're like, you aren't good enough. You're not going to do a great job. You don't know what you're not going to be respected. They're going to laugh at you behind your back. That's the type of things that come to my head.
Oh my goodness. You have said so many important things right now. I want to go back before we talk a little bit about I want to talk about the fire in the belly. I want to talk about this new role that you're embarking on. I want to go back to what you said early on,
Sure.
which is you were talking about that the meltdowns in your office and thinking about being fraud, right? And you said something really important, which is it's not true, right?
Right.
So there's a part of you that recognizes that the story you're telling yourself in that moment about I'm going to be exposed, I'm a fraud, I'm not good enough, is not actually true, right? Which I think is such an important piece of getting to a place where you can at least manage this experience more effectively, if not overcome it entirely. Because I do think it's one of those episodic types of things, right? When you step into something new, even if you have gotten really strong, it's going to come back, maybe not as powerfully, but it's likely to come back, right? So that statement that you made, it's not true. Is that something that you were able to get to in the moment, or was that something that you came to more in hindsight?
That's something that I came to more in hindsight and really through other people. I had to, it was not at the moment, because at the moment, during my meltdown, close the office door or go to the bathroom and clean my face up or go out to the car and bawl my eyeballs out. I usually would call a friend. And that to me has really saved my bottom, to say, to be G-rated.
Yeah.
A lot of other words have come out of my mouth. So I literally have been at that moment of breaking, and I had to call. I've created a network of friends and associates that I trust, and they're not in my company. And it's not that I don't. It's just because I felt that I needed to divide that. And just along the road of my travels and of my path in life, that where I can just call people, and I might call 12 people, and literally, because we're all busy, finally one will pick up and just say, this is what I'm going through. I just need to air it out, and usually what'll happen is by me just saying it out loud, I'll hear what I'm saying. And sometimes the person doesn't even need to say anything. And so maybe it's not always hindsight. I think it's 50-50, or it's just back and forth. It's a percentage of both, that either I'll hear from them going, Heidi, oh, well, there it is.
Well, we won't say your last name.
Okay. Well, yeah, isn't that funny? Anyhow, okay. So and you know what? Whatever's meant to be is meant to be. So you're just saying to me, basically, hey, it's going to be okay. You've got this. Building that strong foundation of women around me. You've got this, Heidi. You can do this. It's just you're going to get it out, just cry it out, and then get back in there and give it all that you've got. Just do good work. Do good work, and it all will fall into place. So there's been that. Then there's also been the internal acknowledgement of going, wait a minute, nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody says that they know what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. I feel sometimes that we're all just trying to figure it out as it goes along, coronavirus or not. I can mention something to a senior level or a higher senior executive and realize they have no idea what the answer is. And I think that a lot of times that's where that imposter syndrome has come, is that I get that, kind of that statement that I should know. And then my confidence goes down really low and my self-esteem goes down low, that I should already know this. When then I realize, wait a minute, if I should really already know this, then why don't you know it? And that's, and it sounds facetious, but I've thought it in my head. So it's been through that way. And it's also, like I said, the hindsight is, I have this thing that I do. It's kind of obsessive, but it's where I go onto different Facebook pages And it's all kinds of different ones. I mean, some of it's like spiritual, some of it's just like anger management for women, some of it's like supportive, some of it's, you know, just all different types. And like I'll see these, I guess they called, I feel embarrassed to say this, it's a meme, I think. I guess I'm like, this whole meme thing still confuses me. Even though I'm highly digital and I'm all over the social media, the word meme just does not connect with my brain. But it's you know, it's like a saying, you know, it's like a, you know, it's a saying. And like I will download these sayings and I will either post them when I'm feeling something really strong. I'll post them to my Facebook page, and it's really not to see what people say and to get the likes or the loves or the smiley faces and that kind of stuff. It's my way of saying it, and it's like an outlet. And it's like saying, I am not an imposter. You know, I am not, you know, I am good enough. I am enough. And that actually will lead me into something else, but I feel like I'm rambling. So
no. This is so great.
Okay. So I'll say one more thing then, and then I'm going to pause. So basically I did something that was really an experiment and I've been meaning to do. So what I do is I found this little free printing like app, and it's basically like you get like 85 free prints a month of 4x6s, and you can pay for extra sizes or extra. And of course you pay for shipping that's like $5 or $10, but honestly, it's such a good deal. And I just like do it. I started doing it to give the family members that are elderly that get confused on the Facebook and the downloading of pictures, to pass out pictures, because people don't pass out pictures anymore. So I did it for that, but then I started doing it for these little sayings. And I started printing them. And so I have like these stockpiles of them around, not in a hoarding way, but but I always thought, gosh, I would love to put these up on the wall. And one day I had a little bit of a meltdown. It was a day at work, you know, just like I'm never going to get through this kind of feeling. And I took a big cork board that used to be where we hung all my son's like paintings and stuff when he was younger. And I just took everything off of it. I took all of the pins out of it. And I don't know. I just like focused on it rather than jumping around to different things. And I have this cork board, and it's big. It's like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 feet long and 2 feet wide. I'm not really good with numbers with that, but I could look at it and tell you and measure it. But basically I made a collage of all these different sayings, and every single day I get up and I look at one of them. I kind of go in order and I just read it. And the one for today was, you know, what you're leaving in the past. It basically said something like, because I'm not going to remember it exactly, but basically said, the past you doesn't matter. The future you is going to be better. And like, it's sayings like that. And so every day I get up and I look at it, and like, I have so many more of these little things. I need to create more boards, but you know, there's no time for that. But, but that's the type of stuff that helps me.
I love that. And what you're making me think of right now is the automatic or sort of subconscious nature of this whole experience with imposter syndrome, right? Because we do get triggered very often during times of transition when things are new, and we interpret those transition points as a threat, right? There's this unconscious interpretation going on that says this is something new, therefore it's uncertain, which means it could be scary or a risk, right? And so we're processing it at this very primal level in our brains that is not distinguishing this experience from being attacked by a predator, right? And so there's often a fact of going into fight or flight mode. And if we stay in that unconscious state and we respond very reactively as opposed to at a very conscious level, we can give into those feelings and give into those stories that we tell ourselves as though they're a fact and not just stories, right? So the simple act, like you're saying, of saying it out loud, seeking out the support of friends, finding those interventions that work for you. What I love what you're describing as having a board of inspiring sayings that you can turn to. They're all conscious ways of interrupting that cycle, right? Of bringing our awareness to a higher level, of bringing in our power to reason and be more rational with ourselves. And so while, again, it's not likely to go away, you're stepping into a new role, right? Those feelings are going to come back, but you know what it is now. You know what this means, and you have faced it successfully in the past, right? It might have been painful in those moments when you were having meltdowns in your office, for sure. And it could have shown up in other ways too, but it didn't stop you. You didn't get stuck there. You didn't decide, okay, well, I'm not going to ever try to advance my career again because it's too painful to feel this way.
That's accurate. No, that anxiety that comes with that, you're right. It can be debilitating, but instead, no, I did not let it stop me. Instead, I gave myself a time limit to feel my feelings. And basically that was it. Now move on and dig back in and work harder and learn and figure this out. And that was the way for me to get past it. Now, I can't tell you I didn't feel my feelings later on that night, with, Ben and Jerry's or something that's but nothing destructive. I basically, I did. That was for me, that was the way to do it, was to move on, because in my past, it was not to move on. I mean, yes, I've moved up and moved on throughout my entire career. But in my past, it was to go crawl underneath the covers for, 3 days and not come out and just cry about it. And oh my gosh, the self-pity and the woe is me and all of that stuff. I have learned that did not help me. Maybe it made me who I am today, but today that does not help me. Drowning my feelings out in the binging of the TV, the binging of the potato chips and Doritos. And yes, that has happened. Okay. I will go back to that, and it happens here and there. But that it happens, but I can catch myself in the middle of it, and I can make the decision, turn it off, stop right now, change. What is it? It's like something like change a muscle, change your mind or something, do something different, go stand up and go for a walk around the block, do something different. And when you're talking about that uncomfortability, I don't even know if that's a word, but whatever. Basically, this is what happened, is that I made a choice. I've made several choices in my career. I've made decisions where I don't even know where it came from. And I think it's that, like you said, that primal animalistic, I went from this fight or flight response to this, okay, either you're going to drown and you're going to take people down with you and you have a family to support and you have your own dignity. You're going to walk through this with grace and dignity, or you're not. So which way do I want to go? I want to walk through it with grace and dignity. So I'm going to make that decision, and I'm going to get uncomfortable. And getting uncomfortable, like you said, is change. And that decision, there's so many decisions I can talk about, but I will specifically talk about what happened. It literally was in October. It was in October. I had it with a lot of things. And I just will say in my workplace, and I will say this, because, God forbid anybody listens to this and like, oh my goodness, I do work for a beautiful company that is extremely supportive, but I have also had issues there. And so I'm very cautious to that's why I was going to rename anonymous, because, but whatever. But I through this pandemic, they have been unbelievable. And I'm so grateful for what they have done for everybody. But there's a but. In October, it's like, that's it. I've had it, So I put myself out there. I started networking like crazy. I started, I hired a career and life coach. I did all kinds of stuff, and I did something different. I went to a networking event. It was a holiday Christmas party through Witty. And I literally had no idea what was going to do, because I had not been to anything like this in 12 years almost, because I had been with the same company for almost 12 years now. And I literally was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. And I showed up and I saw old people that I had not seen in 10 years. And, that fear of, oh, was this a good or a bad ending? Like, what happened? And it was it was open arms. Because I learned to never burn your bridges, but you still never know what people think of you because of that imposter syndrome. That imposter syndrome 10 years, 12 years ago was so much stronger than it is now. And it literally, I met people, I started networking, and I don't even know where it came from. I have no idea where this word came from, but literally people said, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm ready to get uncomfortable. And people are like, oh, I love that. And I'm like, no, I'm not coming up with like a thing. I'm like, I literally am ready to like it just came out. It just came out. Like, I'm ready to get uncomfortable. I'm ready for change, and it's going to probably suck. But I'm going to do it. I did. That's it.
Good for you.
Just
I mean, so what I'm thinking about too, as you're talking, is that you joked about the Ben and Jerry's, right? And the Doritos.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain amount of self-pity or feeling our feelings that I think we all need to do just to build ourselves back up again. And there's something satisfying about that momentarily. But if we stay there, we give our power away, right? And what you're talking about is taking your power back. You have made the decision that being uncomfortable is actually a way of taking your power back.
Yes, it is.
And I love that, because that's the reality of the world around us, right? We can never be too comfortable, because even if we're not changing, the world around us is changing all the time. I mean, look at where we are in history right now, right? So the more we get comfortable being uncomfortable, the more manageable things like imposter syndrome will become, because we'll build that muscle, we'll be more flexible, we'll know, hey, you know what? This isn't the first time I've been here. It may not look the same, but it's the same things that are going on that are causing me to feel this way. And I know what to do this time.
Yes. And a very, very wise woman said to me one day, and I did not like it when she said it to me. I was very angry, but she said to me, Heidi, there is no guarantees in life. And that almost makes me emotional, because that right there was scary. Don't tell me there's no guarantees that my son's not going to be here tomorrow, that something's not going to happen to any, that's where my head goes. It goes to the worst possible place. And it was terrifying. But now, and I probably need to tell her this, is that that meant so much to me, because now, like you said, in this uncertainty of this world, I have no idea what is going to happen. None of us do. I shouldn't speak for others, but I will speak for myself. I am completely powerless over what is going on in the world. But I do have power with what I am doing with myself and with my family. Mm-hmm. And I can be a walking example. I have learned that too, is to be that walking example of, they say lead by example. It's not just leading in the workplace, it's leading in your life. I'm the CEO of me. I'm the CEO of Heidi. So I can make it or I can break it.
Yeah, I love it. I am such a big proponent of anything that allows us to feel more empowered, because I have such strong history with anxiety that being out of control is the scariest thing for me. And so getting to a place where I can say, I don't have control over this, but I have control over this part of my life, just makes me feel so much stronger and so much more capable of navigating the uncertainties that are inevitably going to pop up. So I absolutely love what you're saying.
And I can relate with that. I have the same thing. The anxiety has been very severe in my life, very, very severe. And I've had to do so much work on myself because it's an inside job. Nobody else could help me. Only I could help myself. And, you know, I am grateful that I was able to come to that realization, but with the help of, of friends and whatever, it's just a reading and whatnot. It's just to realize that I'm the one that can control it. Now there's those times though I will spin out. My husband calls it circling the drain. He'll go, Heidi, you're circling the drain. And I do not want to hear that at that moment, because I almost want to circle the drain. There's a part of me that almost feels like I deserve that type of punishment. And I hate to say that, but that is part of that, I think, part of that imposter syndrome and all of it around it that encompasses it, is that it almost feels like I deserve this right now. I deserve to feel bad right now. And, he'll be like, you're circling the drain, you're circling the drain. And so now I'm able to, the point is, I think, like you said earlier, is it's not that I'm not going to go back there, but I'm able to get out of it faster.
Yes.
Which tells me that I'm better and I can keep getting better. But to me, it's just a lifelong journey. I don't believe that I'm going to graduate from this. I don't believe there's a certificate at the end. I really think that I will be working on myself for the rest of my life. And I think that that's just part of my life. That's life. And I get to do it. I get to do that.
I think that's such a great way of saying it too, because I often say that how miserable would it be if we reached a point in our life where we were done growing, where we were done challenging ourselves and making ourselves uncomfortable, right? So it comes with the territory of stretching ourselves and just continuing to push outside our comfort zones. And so on the one hand, it can be painful and it will get easier, like you're saying, right? Over time, you know more about yourself, you have more tools available. It's easier to intervene and keep it from getting to that really extreme level. But it's also a gift because it means you're growing. It means that we're continuing to make the most of our lives and not get too complacent.
Oh, it's so true. And that's exactly what happened. I had a life altering experience last year. And literally, that's what was the wake up call. I was like, I'm done. I mean, the truth is, I was looking for another career, another job, where am I going? What am I doing? And I was just so absolutely miserable from not growing anymore. But I didn't want to leave my comfort spot. And wow, what has happened since then? I mean, I went out, I got uncomfortable, and through interviewing, through networking, through joining Witty, through joining a project management association, through talking to different people, I have grown so much in my personal career toolbox that now not only I'm so excited that I want to stay with my company. I got this new opportunity, and I truly believe it's because I went out and grew. I went out and I interviewed and I trained for it. I mean, it was like for a marathon. I was training for interviews. I was doing the resume thing and the LinkedIn thing. And I was like, I can't let my company know this. I can't let my company know this. They could let go of me, all that kind of fear. But I had to do it. And I really, truly believe it led me to not only gaining like 1,000 new relationships over the past year professionally, and some of it personally, but it led me to get this new job. I was not afraid to speak up at my company and say, this is just posted. I want to interview for this. I want this job. I would not have done that a year ago. There's no way in heck that I would have done that whatsoever. And I really think that all of the looking and, like I said, practicing, I think it's actually going to help me in my career at my current company.
I absolutely love that. That is so inspiring. And I'm sure it's inspiring to others who are listening too. You have such a powerful story. And I have so many more questions, but in the interest of time, I'd love to wrap up by asking you, what motivated you to want to tell your story today? What is it that you're hoping people will take away?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, what motivated me was I have had other people that have come along my journey of life who've told me their story, whether it was professionally or personally, and probably more on the personal level. And by them telling me their story, they helped me feel that I wasn't alone. And that really helped my self-esteem, and it just made me feel better. I hope that what other people can take away with this is, never settle. Never settle. If you have that volcanic feeling that's erupting from your stomach, what I call, and somebody else told me this, and I always like to say somebody else to give somebody else credit because I didn't make this stuff up. I gained it through friends and associates that I call it my bellyometer. If my bellyometer is saying something is not right, or I need to say something, or I need to make a change, I need to listen to my instincts and my gut because it's true. It's the universe, or it's my spirituality, or it's just something inside of me, my body telling me something has to change and you need to do something about it. But nothing changes if nothing changes. If I don't take action, nothing's going to happen. So I really hope that people can anybody, even if it just one person gets one sentence or one word out of this, I know that I've helped somebody. And I've learned in my lifetime that by helping other people, it helps me. And I know that sounds selfish, but literally just by having this conversation with you and opening up to whoever could hear this, wherever, there's something inside of me that makes my self-esteem feel better. It makes me feel that I've done something good. And the only way to get self-esteem is not the only way, but a way to help your self-esteem, I have learned, is to do things forever. You can rise above anything. I have been, and I won't go into it for time, I have been through severe emotional things in my life that are absolutely unreal and unacceptable. But I decided and said to myself in my brain that I'm going to rise above this. And I've been able to do that. And because of that, it's made all the difference.
Thank you.
I hope that helps somebody.
Oh my goodness. It absolutely will. And thank you so much for such a powerful message that you've shared with us today. I feel so connected to you. I have a feeling you and I are going to stay connected far beyond this conversation. And
I would love that. I feel emotional. So see, like talking about this stuff, and I'm okay. People are going to hear me get emotional. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to get emotional. This is a good emotional. I'm grateful for this conversation, because just speaking out loud my truth to you and to others, it helps me get stronger.
It just warms my heart. Thank you so much. You are the reason why I do this. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and share it with other women who can benefit from this conversation. Before we go, I want to share some additional resources with you. If you struggle with imposter syndrome and you want to manage it more effectively, I invite you to join my free Impostor Syndrome online challenge. Every day for 7 days, you'll get an email with self-reflection questions and exercises to help you better understand your own experience with imposter syndrome and how to navigate it more effectively. To join the free challenge, visit executive-career-success.com/imposter-syndrome-challenge. When you sign up, you'll immediately receive your first message. Also, if you're interested in joining a community of women who engage in candid conversations that generally aren't happening elsewhere, I invite you to join my Leading Women discussion group. On the first and third Thursday of every month at 12 p.m. Eastern, we meet virtually over Zoom to talk about questions or challenges related to career management, leadership development, and any other relevant topics such as imposter syndrome and confidence. It's always a great discussion with a great group of women. If you want to check it out, you're welcome to be my guest on a future call. Just reach out to me at kim@executivecareersuccess.com and I will share the call details with you. And if you want to join my newsletter to receive tips, insights, and updates, text Leading Women, all one word, to 66866. Finally, consider telling us your story. Contact me to learn more about how you can be a guest on the Impostor Syndrome Files. Thanks again and have a wonderful day.